Getting them ball, look at that. Ooh, we're getting leaner because I can move around. Yeah, right. Oh. Alrighty, YouTube. How are we? Oh, and welcome. That didn't sound too nimble though. Welcome to today's video. Today's video sees us just under 6 weeks out. Let's go. We grinded it out last week. It was definitely a grind. Got to Friday, went to do a working set. Battery had died. You know when you think your phone's on like 12% and it dies? That was me. So went into the session, warming up. I was like 20% down on my numbers. At that point you think, right, what's the rate of loss? What's been going on? You look at it logically, you go, it makes sense. Now, issue that can come with that, you keep trying to push because you're obsessing with the idea of losing weight. Now you're at a place where you're unable to stimulate the muscles efficiently because the battery's dead, so you're actually unable to really push any effective reps out, stimulating the fast twitch muscle fibers. Type 2? Yeah, isn't it? Type 1 slow. By the way, it's an early Monday morning again. And from there, if you're not lifted anywhere near the load that built the muscle, not necessarily the weight, but you can imagine stimulus, you know, you're just gonna go whoop. So ran a deload session there where I just got a bit of a pump. I hadn't deloaded since I got back from Oz as well, which was mid-January. We're now 3rd of March, so it's perfect timing really when you look at it like that. 6 to 8 weeks of hard training, you should probably get to a point where signs of deload are needed, especially when you're dieting. And then I went into legs the following day. So I kept the food the same for that because it was like afternoon and stuff. Woke up Saturday morning, 101.8 I think it is, or was it 0.6? I think it was 101.8 or 0.6. So ended up dropping like 0.7 of a kilos in that day as well. So again, makes sense. Ran 700 grams of carbs on the Saturday for legs with the deload session again. Slept 9 hours, woke up at 103, happy days. We're back. So when we think about a deload as well, giving the body a chance to replenish glycogen for sure, and on like a sort of training performance level, giving the body a chance to recoup some ATP as well, and clear out the nervous system, let it go back into a nice chilled state, able to recover more, better to sleep better, absorb nutrients better, and then get back into the work energized with that battery pack back up and running. That's where we are today. So 103 today, back to baseline in terms of calorie setup, which be 2,600 calories training day, 2,200 non-training day. We are increasing expenditure from 10,000 steps on the training day to 13,000. It doesn't sound like much, but if you fall short after doing it at the end of the day, it feels like a lifetime. And then to 15,000 on a rest day. So we want to be increasing fat loss, right? I can't get to this time next week or a week after that, and maybe that 101.6 is maintenance, because we've got to keep chipping away, right? I think being objective, after I look at photos today where hopefully I'll find I'm full again, if I'm full and I'm spilled, then I know there's a lot more fat to take off, a couple of kilos or more. But after the training today, if I look tighter and drier, then I know that there's not much left to take off at all. Okay, so as you get leaner, you get flatter. which means there's literally less carbs in the muscle. Now, the issue is with that, is when you're flat, you can make it look like you're fat. And I mean that in the context of competing, of course. So you could take some shots, and because you're flat, there's no pop. So you look soft, which might have you think, I gotta keep pushing. Easiest way to check that is fill those muscles up, hit your poses. If you look just as soft or softer, then you know, okay, well, perhaps it is actually just a body fat thing. But if you get carbs in there and you hit some poses the following day and you look harder and drier and leaner, then you know it's actually a carbohydrate issue. So that's something to keep in mind. If you're coaching yourself, ask yourself, am I flat or is there more fat? How can I check that? By having carbs. Some studies suggest when your muscles can probably absorb and hold around 400 to 500 grams of carbohydrates from like a flat place. But there's also an overcompensation that can occur as well. So when you're really depleted, and this is where the whole carb loading comes from a endurance sport perspective, is they'll deplete themselves right down and then they all load up on carbs, and it's believed it can almost create like a temporary amount of carbs that can be held in the muscle. And that's where bodybuilders come up with the idea of that carb load and depletion first. It creates a not normal response to how many carbs you fit in the muscle. So I hope that was of some use. So we're gonna find out today basically where we're at truly. Weight cap is 96 kilos. And I said to myself, you know, if I can be inflammation free, like everything out of the system in terms of like training fatigue, carbs quite low, and I can weigh 100 kg shredded, I'm confident I can water cut and make weight. And if I need to do that, I'll be able to call in help to manage that. Through Dr. Dean, St. Mark, who has kindly offered his help if in need. And I won't mention names, but he's helped some big dogs. In particular, a big dog that I know do exactly that, make weight. But then more importantly, not look like a bag of shit afterwards, which is obviously the most common thing with trying to make weight. But we'll see. I'm not obsessed about the scale weight. We're obsessing about getting shredded whilst keeping all that muscle that we have worked hard to build. What else? What else there, Kev? What's the setup? So going into today, based on where I know training performance seems to dip, perhaps around this like 101 kg range. Muscle preservation, because I am as lean as I am now as well, you know, it's going to become harder and harder. So 25 milligrams of Anavar is going in pre-workout, which is very handy for performance in the short term, in terms of strength, pumps, but also really good. And the main purpose is retaining muscle in a deficit. Still 250 test, 250 Masteron, 250 Primo, but 25 milligrams of Anavar, 5 days a week. You add that to your total weekly androgen load. So we have increased androgen load weekly as well. In terms of other things we've got going on, been experimenting this prep with the mitochondria side of things, which has always almost become a bit of a hype at the moment, but been using it for a while. And it's one of those, isn't it? You don't know. Transparency. A lot of the information now looks promising. A lot of it's also based on rat studies. And I think the industry is ignoring or is not approved for human use, most of these things yet, or will be. We don't know the medium to long-term risks either. Quite literally, we do not know. Increasing your mitochondria. Mitochondria is the power bank to your cells, and we're increasing that. We're turning it up. Could be great on one hand, ATP reduction, fat loss, lipolysis. But like, if you look at it like a nuclear power plant, you're cranking up nuclear power, there's waste that comes with it, right? And we are creating that. Now I've put together a stack to hopefully counter that in terms of oxidative support, increasing things such as vitamin C, P5P. You know, when you're using MOTC, for example, you need to be supplementing with folate. It's these things we're trying to always counter as bodybuilders, right? Whether it's using, you know, using gear and trying to counter it, like you're always just playing this game, and then maybe the countermeasure you put in place needs another countermeasure, you know, like you start taking Terramycin, you've got to be aware of, you know, it's just like, woo. So we're deeper into the matrix. But so we got lipotropin, SLUPP, NED, MOTC, FRAG, AOD and FRAG 176. And I'll go through those in another video perhaps. I am releasing the guide, the mitochondria guide. I'll pop that in the description. And that is a comprehensive ebook educating you on what mitochondria is, what potential causes of it to weaken over time, how does it impact bodybuilding, how can it even impact your longevity as a human, let alone bodybuilding, organic ways to improve it, and then the dark arts way of turbo boosting it as well. The fact I think I'm doing zero cardio, 10,000 steps, what was 2,600 calories and 2,200 got me to as lean as you'll see. Compared to previous preps, I think there's something to be said about that in my own experience. Like, so we'll, you know, again, yes, I would say the main entry point for me using it is in fact obviously because I am sponsored athlete through Biolab, so I do get looked after, very grateful for that. But that was kind of like the gateway to learning to explore these things more. And you kind of crossovering the biohacking community, the people who want to live forever, who definitely aren't taking steroids, and kind of popping that into bodybuilding as well. So it's kind of like a multiverse situation. You know, you've got Deadpool and Wolverine kind of linking up. That's the kind of the way I'm viewing it. I'm still on that journey, so I'll continue to share things that I've learned, good or bad, like I do with steroids. But if you are considering things, even like your SLUP, you just bear in mind, not approved for human use is the main thing. You know, if we think of like steroids, you know, people might say, oh, you know, I'm going to avoid EQ because it's not approved for humans, but then they're smashing all these things we don't know too much about yet. Just keep that in mind. So we're going to get into my current ab setup and kind of reasons why as well. So I just got one more warm-up set on here. We'll go through this one in a moment. We're going to actually, yeah, we're starting with. I need 2 of these, Calvin. Right, so abdominal training. To anyone who's new to the channel, welcome. And to anyone who's been here a while, you probably get an idea that I am an extremely logical person into what I feel is logical anyway. It might not be at all, but to me, things need to make sense in bodybuilding. I don't really like random things, but that's just kind of me. So when it comes to abdominal training, I always think, what are my biases towards hypertrophy in general? We've got standardized speed of rep in terms of eccentric, asterisks. And eccentric isn't a determining factor of how big you get. You know, if that was the case, we would just do 30-second eccentrics, right? If that was the thing that built muscle. It's really not, but what it does do is it puts like stabilizers on your bike. Definitely puts stabilizers on my bike anyway. Because what do we want to do? We want to create a consistent amount of tension between each rep. So then we know when we achieve that progressive overload, that the bit that come before it was the same. It's no good doing 10 reps one week, but you did a 5-second eccentric, and then you did 12 reps next week, but you did a 2-second eccentric. It's technically a different amount of tension over time. When we look at that, so we've got that boxed off, and then we look at range of motion. What range of motion can we get into injury-free, pain-free? Think of the pec fly. We're trying to get the most range, so therefore the muscle has to work through the biggest amount of movement that we can possibly give it. Yeah? Meaning more stimulus over time. There's also something to be said around We know there's a bit of merit to partial reps, which is the extreme stretch part. And there's definitely element to the fact that muscles, when they are put under load in the stretch, there's definitely something to be said about that for hypertrophy as well. So we need that to be consistent too. But the reason why I like to do a pause in that position is because our bodies are really good at cheating. Look at powerlifters on the bench press. I'm joking. They have developed the skill to be able to use every other bit of their body in order to move weight other than isolating the chest, right? It's really efficient. I've got much respect for powerlifters, of course. So bodybuilding, when we're trying to make the muscle grow, we want to do the opposite. So you got to think, if the body is really efficient at bouncing things off it, loads of connective tissue there, kind of like elastic bands that we have, you know, across our ligaments, tendons, they're really good at actually not doing stuff. So by pausing, we're always making sure, okay, now I'm just using my chest because I've taken out that spring effect. So that's the other thing. Standardizing the reps, range of motion, trying to isolate the intended muscle. So from there, I look at it as, how can I apply that principle to abdominal training? And then creating movements which will allow us to do what over time? Achieve progressive overload, more reps, more weight. But also the big thing, especially with training as a whole, as I bang on about, effective reps. I might have to make a t-shirt, effective reps. What are effective reps? When we are pushing at 100% effort, but the speed of the concentric, the drive phase, slows down involuntarily. Those are the reps that are stimulating the muscle fibers that have the greatest potential to grow. Your fast twitch muscle fibers only get involved in the action as you get closer to failure, okay? That has nothing to do with the pump, nothing to do with the eccentric, nothing to do with the pause. The concentric effort is really the determining factor. So when you look at any style of training and people who have got absolutely massive over the years, everyone debates the bit all before it, don't they? Should we do this bit, that bit? Should we pause? Should we do drop sets, supersets, backflip sets? What is the common factor between 98% of people who are massive? Is the effective rep bit. Take Branch Warren. What's he doing? Effective reps. He's involuntarily, those muscles are breaking down in speed, but he is going for it. So think about the top bit of the pie, the most important bit. How you get there, up to you. If you can create a system that you enjoy, perfect. So ab training is no different. And if your abs are a body part focus, ask yourself if you applied those principles consistently, and hopefully you'll find the answer is no, because then that means we're going to get some abs. So let's go. Hanging leg raise first. Ab mat behind the back to create more range of motion, to get that lovely bit of extension through the abs, to get that lovely stretch, to create tension throughout as well. If this is straight down, there's no tension. If I'm in this position, gravity's pulling me this way, my abs are now under tension the whole time, which is what I want to see. From there, I'm driving not the knees up, because that'll be a hip flexor movement. I'm scooping my abs back, pressing inwards, and allowing the legs to tuck up, whilst keeping that nice consistent cadence and ideally range of motion. And we know that as we contract the muscle is where we get stimulus. So how can we do that with the abs? You want to try and close the gap between your feet and your head, because the abs are going to get shorter. Look at any high-level Olympic gymnast, CrossFitter. They're really good at doing that, right? And look at their abs. We can always take things from other sports and apply it to being a meathead. Breathing in. And now we're breaking down. Now stop. So like I said, find a consistent pattern that you feel in the groove with. You might want to stop a little bit longer at the bottom. I use the set point where once I can't get above there, I stop. I wouldn't do a chest press, and then once I get to here, I wouldn't keep going. So again, try to apply the thoughts that you know about your other body parts and how that can translate into body parts which are maybe weaknesses. If it's the abs, for me it was the arms. Yeah, as soon as I had a bit of a sit down with my ego, and I thought, we gotta do some work here. What's going on with my arms? When I started to really watch my sets back, I wasn't doing those things. I wasn't getting effective reps. I thought I was. I started watching them back and I was like, yeah, my arms are pumped, but I was still all good. So it's a forever journey, as it should be. Because as soon as you think you know it all, you will start going backwards. It's as simple as that. Cable ab crunch next. So I like to do this second, because with the leg raise, you know, we are really working throughout sort of lower back. I find it's the most fatiguing one as well, because of the range in which we're working at, lengthening up. So I like to do this for the stability factor and the tension's more constant. So in the cable ab crunch, get your breath back first. The key here is making sure that we're using our abs. Most common thing I see when reviewing feedback initially is that we're not isolating the abs and we're kind of using the hips and a little bit of the arms. So how shall I demo this? So when we think about what's the role of the abdominals in crunching us downwards, this is what the abs do, right? Allow us to do this and many other things. Now, pay attention to my hips when I do that. They don't have to move, right? So when we do our cable crunch, you look from the side. If you see your hips go behind your knees, it means you're going to be driving with the hips. Same with the leg raise. It becomes a hip raise for a lot of people, and hopefully that helped in terms of push in and just scoop. And with the leg raise as well, just go as high to where you can. Okay, just go to where you can get that and not feel the hips. All right. Yeah, I've been doing leg raises since I came out of the womb, in terms of years of practice, and I'm still there thinking, okay, here we go. Okay, I was a bit hippie, CrossFit coach for a couple of years, you know. So just go to where you can, and if you have to bend the leg, because the straighter the leg, the bigger the moment arm, kind of like the harder it is. Think about if you do a pec fly and then you press the same weight, it's a lot easier, right? Or if you do a pec fly here or you do it here, it's easier, right? Same with your leg raise. If your legs are straight and you're struggling, keep them bent, but they stay in that same position, and then you scoop. So you can do that as well. So cable crunch, we do not want to be in this position doing this. See those hips? Don't do that. Let's isolate the abs. Let's keep the upper leg, the femur, straight, and let's get the abs just to come over and back. And even now, still obviously I'm going to watch myself and be like, you know, that's all part of the fun as well. We're not aiming, you know, it's not perfect. It's just always constantly trying to be aware. So from here, again, I want to extend the core, get a stretch, but we take a big breath in, because this is a compromised position for the spine. Breathe in, hold, strong position, which means to crunch first. From here, abs only. Now I'm curving like a peeling one vertebra up at a time and down one at a time. Ooh. How are the hips, Kelv? We're all right? That was the 10th take as well, just to make sure. That went good. So then, finishing it off with a butterfly ab crunch. So the butterfly crunch, again, we're trying to do our best to not get the hips in the way, because the hips are directly connected to the abs. So they love to get involved, and they love to make things as efficient as we can from a movement perspective, but we want to try and isolate as bodybuilders. So how we do that? By putting the feet together. You can't really push the hips in now, can you? You can a little bit, but compared to this, you know, you can drive up, right? It's going to lose the ab stimulus. This one in particular, really good for practicing your vacuums as well. This whole thing is really, the TA muscles help pull everything in. We've got the ab mat, not the floor. Why is that? Extension, range of motion. The difference it makes getting your spine to extend over here is such a huge difference compared to flat on the floor. I can feel my abs stretching already, which is always a good sign. As with anything in bodybuilding, but definitely ab training, breathing is so important. Always a strong brace, which means big breath in through the nose, but we're breathing in through here, not through the lungs. We're breathing into the tummy. I take a big breath in. I'm now tensing my abs as hard as I can, as I am for all these movements. I'm tensing now hard, and that should already start lifting you up through tensing as hard as you can. Trying to make one vertebrae, one bit of my spine, come up one at a time. Try to avoid using the hands to fling you up. Could do this, could do this, could do this, could do this, could do this. Yeah, I watched some street dance movies back in the day. Ready? Big breath in. Driving hard in here. Full range of motion. Big breath in. Open up. Breathe in. Don't use the arms. And then find your rhythm. You don't need to spend too long there. You can just touch those shoulder blades behind with the head touch. Boop. Going up one. Let's go. A little bit of a cheat. You see that little bit there? Just a smidge of a cheat, right? Like I said, when I'm doing these things, we're working hard, we're getting effective reps. Don't need to be perfect in order to build, but as you progress, if you're getting better and better at executing, it's going to serve you more and more as it gets harder to create new stimulus to grow, right? And that's what I say to everyone I work with. Aiming to be better over time will just help us get better over time, all right? And so with that, I'll do 3 rounds. At the moment it was on leg days, which was twice a week. Increasing that frequency now. So we'll be doing it 3 days a week. All right, so you got to think that's 9 working sets to failure doing 3 rounds. So bear that in mind. If you haven't done it before, just do 1 round and then rest. You know, you wouldn't go like, I've never done legs before and go, you might, I would, but don't do that. We logbook everything. How many did I do there? What weight did I do there? How many did I do there? Are you at a place where you rest in between each one? 1 minute rest? Do you go all the way through? Maybe rest for 2 minutes between rounds? Or do you go Hail Mary and then track that? 15 reps, 10 reps, 5 reps, and then you can still aim for progression within some framework however you like. Or just do one of those and just go with one. You know, like chest. Just gonna do my chest press, however you like. So that for me, with where my thinking is right now, is what I feel is a hashtag optimal. Your obliques are gonna get work just from doing this anyway. The TA is getting worked. And the main thing that we associate the abs with is getting battered from all angles. From lower to upper, constant tension throughout with a bit of a drop off at the bottom. whereas that gets harder as we raise up. Bodyweight offering a bigger challenge here, dropped off just a little bit as we get there. If there's any questions, let me know. I hope you enjoyed the video, as we are just under 6 weeks out. And thank you for any comment, a like, telling a mate, like, this guy, he helps out a bit, drop him a follow or something. It helps. You know, the goal from this content really is just to be an extension of trying to provide some info in this industry that you guys can hopefully apply, learn, get progress, and share it with other people. That's all I want. So the newbie channel continues to grow. I think we broke 5,200 people, which I think is, I'm like, joy with that. So that's class. People are involved, commenting. For the guys that I work with on a one-to-one basis, as I'll say to you, like, if you've got a training plan or you do this style of training, I view this as like an additional course for you guys to be able to learn and upskill yourself to enhance your training, your coaching, your PT, or if you're riding obviously solo, to have that like I am, So with that, I'll see you in the next one.